Hello and welcome to PE Buddy. Mr. D here. In this video we're going to use this footage of me kicking a ball to apply some of the biomechanical principles that we learnt about in the previous 4 videos. Let's get into it. So as a reminder, these are the 4 main concepts that we went through in this mini-series, Biomechanics for Beginners. We looked at kinetic concepts, kinematic concepts, levers and equilibrium. So we're going to have a quick look at these and apply them to kicking a soccer ball. Now not all of these will apply really well, but the point of this is to show you how we can analyse movement through biomechanical principles to try and therefore improve our performance. Alright, so let's start with the kinetic concepts. We went through force, mass, Newton's laws, momentum and impulse. And all of these are really relevant to our skill of kicking a soccer ball. So if we just take Newton's laws for example, we've got his first law of inertia, second law force equals mass times acceleration, and third law action and reaction. So let's apply these laws to kicking a soccer ball. So inertia teaches us that things want to stay the same. This ball wants to stay static as it is. Once I start moving, my body mass moves forward and my body wants to keep moving. Once the ball is kicked, that ball wants to continue moving, however it's slowed down by air resistance and gravity. So if we look at force equals mass times acceleration, Newton's second law, there's a force that's required to move this ball. So as I'm approaching, the 2 things that are going to move this ball, the mass on my leg times the acceleration is what produces the force to kick that ball. Finally, we have the law of action and reaction. So as I come to kick the ball here, my planting foot, the left foot, that's actually pushing backwards to stop me falling forwards. At the same time, the reaction is this foot coming through in the opposite direction. Additionally, once I've struck the ball, you can see that my striking foot pivots around to the left. That is the action, and the reaction is my left arm pivoting around to the right to keep me balanced and stop me falling over. Let's go move on to kinematic concepts now. So a reminder, these are broken down in human movement and projectile motion. So human movement includes distance, displacement, speed, velocity and acceleration. Key concepts here. Again, these are very applicable to kicking a soccer ball. For example, we can look at the distance of the run-up. This might be about 2 meters. We can look at the speed of the run-up as it's coming through. We can measure the acceleration or the speed of the kicking leg. And we can measure things like the distance the ball travels, the speed of the ball, etc. Moving on to projectile motion now. The 3 key points here are height of release, angle of release, and speed of release. So this is about when the ball is struck. So first thing is the height of release, and obviously this is on the ground. For example, if I was on a diving board 10 meters up and I did this same kick with exactly the same force, the ball would go further simply because it was higher. Second, we have the angle of release, and we know that this should be 45 degrees for optimal distance. The technique I used in this kick was about power, so it's a lower, more driven shot. So as we can see here, 45 degrees would be somewhere up here, but this is maybe about 30 degrees. Again, going for a low, powerful shot. And the final thing is the speed of release. So the speed of that foot coming through, kicking that ball, the faster the speed, the further it will go. Next we can look at levers. And this is really applicable to kicking a soccer ball. A reminder, we've got our first, our second and our third class. So kicking a soccer ball is a 3rd class lever. So we're going to look at the kicking leg. Again, we've got our fulcrum, our force and our resistance. So there are levers everywhere in the body, all doing their thing to allow me to have this shot. So I'm going to pause it right about here, and we're going to think about the fulcrum or the axis, the load and the force. So the load is my foot. That is the thing that is moving, that is providing the mass. The joint or the pivot or the axis point is the knee, and the force is coming through the muscle contractions, specifically of the quad. So these three things here, working like a third-class lever machine, allow for a powerful kick. And finally, we have our concept of equilibrium. The three key points here are center of gravity, base of support, and line of gravity. So before I start the run up, my center of gravity would be somewhere back here, in the center of my body, the point at which my weight is balanced. As soon as I start my run up, my center of gravity would move forward because I'm leaning forward. And we'll continue to lean forward and forward. It might even come outside my body as I'm leaning, it might come back, and then as I strike, the center of gravity would be somewhere around here. Next we have our base of support, and as we know, this is the point at which any part of our body is touching the ground. So as I'm running, I've got one foot on the ground each time. As I'm striking the ball, I've got one planted leg, and this leg is actually off the ground. So you'd say my base of support is very small because it's just the size of my foot. Now the reason I'm not falling over is because of inertia and my body working together to kick this ball with power. And finally we have our line of gravity. So as we know, if the line of gravity goes through the center of gravity, if that is within the base of support, that is a stable position. Again, striking that ball, the line of gravity is going through the center of gravity. It's not landing within my base of support, but because of inertia, because of my stabilizing muscles in my left ankle, I'm able to stay upright, transfer that energy through the ball to provide a powerful kick. You'll see in my follow through that my body works to try and keep me upright. Second leg comes down, the body rotates, and there we have a stable position. So there you have it, guys. That's just a quick example of how we can apply some of these principles as well as many others to our movements. And we can use that data, we can use video analysis, we can use things like that to learn what we're doing well and what we're doing not so well to improve our performance. So if I'm critically analysing my own technique, I'd say that the run up is good, my inertia is carrying me forward. The point at which I strike, there's a large distance between my foot and the ball, allowing plenty of time to accelerate and produce maximum power, maximizing the use of that lever. When we strike the ball, my head is around the ball. I'm leaning back a little bit to gain some distance and height, but not too much that I'm out of balance. My center of gravity is still in a good striking position. I'm striking this ball at the bottom with plenty of power, allowing it once to become a projectile to gain maximum distance and power, aiming for that 45 degrees. If I was going for distance, I would hit lower on the ball to aim a little bit higher to get to that 45 degree, which would be somewhere around here, rather than 30 degrees that we've got. And the final thing is my follow through. My body position is telling me that there's too much rotation. I'm losing some of that power to rotation rather than transferring all of it in one single direction through the ball. Thanks again for watching. I hope this video has given some context to these theories and how you guys can use them to improve your own performance. Thanks guys. Let me know if you have any feedback, questions or comments. Bye.